December 2nd, 2010, Melbourne, Australia. It was just after 7 p.m. when the concierge at the luxury Balenciaga apartments heard a crash. He went to investigate and found a gruesome scene. A woman's body, twisted, broken, was at the bottom of a garbage chute. She had fallen 12 stories. The woman's name was Phoebe Handsjuk, and she was only 24 years old. Police quickly ruled it an accident. They said she'd climbed into the garbage chute voluntarily and fallen to her death. But Phoebe's family didn't buy it. Her injuries didn't make sense. Her mental state didn't match. And most of all, the mechanics of the garbage chute made it nearly impossible. This is the case of Phoebe Handsjuk, a death so bizarre that many believe the truth is still hidden inside that dark, narrow shaft. Phoebe Handsjuk was creative, quirky, and adventurous. She loved art, poetry, and martial arts, but she also struggled with anxiety, depression, and alcohol. By 24, Phoebe was trying to put her life back on track. She had a job at a hair salon, she was going to therapy, and she had recently moved into the Balenciaga apartments with her boyfriend, Anthony Hampel. Anthony was a wealthy, well-connected events promoter, nearly 20 years older than Phoebe. Their relationship was intense. Friends said it was passionate, but unstable. Phoebe often felt isolated and controlled. And just days before her death, she'd told her therapist she wanted to leave Anthony and start fresh. Then, on the night of December 2nd, everything changed. Security footage showed Phoebe entering the building just before noon. She was alone. That evening, around 7 p.m., Anthony returned home to their apartment on the 12th floor and discovered it was empty. There were blood droplets in the hallway, a broken glass on the floor, Phoebe's bag and keys still on the counter. Then came the concierge's call. A woman's body had been found in the garbage collection room. Anthony ran downstairs. What he saw would later haunt him. Phoebe's body was lying in a pool of blood, half-clothed, badly broken. A maintenance worker had already determined where she came from, the garbage chute. It was a small, stainless steel opening in the service room on the 12th floor, just across the hall from their apartment. But here's where it gets disturbing. That chute was only 14.5 inches wide, barely big enough for a person. And it had a heavy steel flap and spring-loaded trap door that required a significant push to open. For Phoebe to have gone through it, she would have had to climb into the bin, feet first, in pitch darkness, and launch herself downward. The garbage chute dropped straight down 12 floors, ending in a metal compactor. But Phoebe didn't die instantly. The autopsy revealed something horrifying. She had survived the fall. Phoebe had landed feet first in the compactor room, shattering both legs and severing an artery. Then, bleeding heavily, she somehow dragged herself across the filthy concrete floor, nearly 12 feet, before finally collapsing. But there was more. The door to the garbage room was magnetically locked. It could only be accessed with a resident's swipe card or someone already inside. Yet Phoebe's card had never been used that day, and there were no fingerprints found on the chute door, none from Phoebe or anyone else. Police claimed she was intoxicated, too drunk to think clearly. A suit that ollies. They found sleeping pills and alcohol in her system. But toxicologists later said she wasn't impaired enough to climb into a narrow chute, or strong enough to force the spring door open. Phoebe's grandfather, once a high-ranking detective, said the case reeked of foul play. But the coroner's ruling? Death by misadventure. Phoebe's family was devastated. They believed she was murdered. They pointed to several red flags: the broken glass and blood droplets in the apartment, her missing phone, never recovered. CCTV footage from inside the building had gaps, parts were missing or mysteriously erased. Anthony, her boyfriend, waited over 90 minutes to call anyone after discovering the scene, and yet, he was never formally considered a suspect. In fact, many questioned whether Anthony's wealth and family connections protected him. His father was a prominent judge. His circle included politicians and media figures. Some believe the investigation was quietly steered away from any foul play. Others think Phoebe may have attempted self-harm or was in a drug-induced state. But her therapist, just days before, had described her as hopeful, ready for a new chapter. So what happened in that apartment? Did someone force her into the chute? Or was Phoebe's death the result of a tragic, bizarre accident? If you're hooked so far, hit subscribe, because the next story might be even darker than this one. Now, back to the case. Over a decade later, no one knows for sure how Phoebe died. Her family continues to push for answers. They've hired independent experts, staged reenactments, and even tested the chute themselves. The results? It would be nearly impossible for Phoebe to enter the chute alone, let alone climb in feet first and plunge to her death. To this day, the garbage chute remains untouched. A chilling reminder of a life cut short, and a mystery sealed in steel and silence. Phoebe Handsjuk's case raises a terrifying question. What if someone can die under suspicious, violent circumstances, and it's still not enough for justice? She was beautiful, complicated, and full of contradictions. But no one deserves to die like that. Was it an accident? Or was it murder, disguised as misadventure? Thanks for watching Short Crime Stories. New crimes drop weekly. Subscribe to never miss a case.